Well, good morning from Sepang Circuit in the beautiful country of Malaysia for the opening round of the 2024-2025 Asian Le Mans Series. I'm Graham Goodwin, sitting next to me, of course, sports car racing legend Oliver Gavin. We're going to be with you this weekend, Ollie, for 2 4-hour races here in Malaysia before a further 4 in the UAE in February. All of that will decide who's going to take away the championship wins, and 2 automatic invitations to the 2025 Asia Le Mans Series. It is an absolutely packed grid. This morning we're going to see qualifying for both the GT cars, packed grid of them, and then the LMP3 and LMP2 cars. And then this afternoon, into pretty much darkness, we're going to see the cars for over 4 hours around this stellar circuit. I'm excited.
Yeah, I am as well. I mean, it's fantastic to be back here with you, Graham, and it's great to be here on site at the track, seeing all the cars in action. Yesterday, a bit of free practice, and before that, there was a couple of practice sort of test sessions that they had to get some miles around here. Lots of new drivers and lots of new teams in new classes. You know, this is certainly a big part of this this weekend is trying to get tuned into all of that new machinery and new environment. It's been hot, sticky. We've had a few spots of rain, but nothing that's really stopped any of the dry running.
It's certainly not been the tropical storms we've seen in the past here at Sepang, and with last year one of the races red flagged early. No immediate sign of that, he said out loud.
Easy now. Certainly today I think we should be okay. You know, fingers crossed, touching a bit of wood. But I think tomorrow we may be seeing some weather. So let's wait and see. But we're about to get going here with the qualifying session for GT.
We are indeed, and it is a very different look to our GT class this season. 25 cars on this grid, and another mixed bag of GT3 cars, lots of different makes represented here as we get underway here. There we are, down in the southeast of Asia in Malaysia for Sepang before we go to Dubai and Yas Marina in February. So cars about to get on track. 9:50 we're programmed to have the GT3 cars out there. Some astonishing facts that come from this 25-car GT3 grid, Ollie. And one of the most astonishing is, of those 25, 15 of them come from teams that have never contested the Asia Le Mans Series before. Quite amazing stuff. There's Get Speed's number 9 AMG. They're one that has, but you can see there one of the 2-car collection Porsches, the sky blue and orange car. That's one that hasn't. And from around the GT and sports car racing world, whether it's from FI World Endurance Championship, European Le Mans Series, the Michelin Le Mans Cup, GT World Challenge Asia, from all around the world, and IMSA, by the way, all around the world, we've got teams gathering here for this winter series.
5.5 kilometres around here at the Sepang International Circuit, 15 turns, and it is a very fast flowing track, but with a number of very tricky corners. Tyre deg is going to be a big part of the race later on this afternoon, and it's certainly going to be something that all of these teams have in mind. The heat is also going to be a big issue and a big factor, let's say, for a number of the drivers and a number of the teams. So interested to see how all that plays out later on.
It's 30+ degrees in the heat of the day here, but more than that, you'll know all about this, Ollie.
The humidity is a killer.
It is an absolute killer. It is basically just like being in a sauna.
Oh, here we are in our nice air-conditioned booth. It's lovely.
Yeah, at some point we'll be talking to our third member of our team,
David,
down the pit lane. He's drawn what you might call the short straw with a triple layer fire suit with that wonderfly reflective concrete surface.
He's wearing it well.
He is wearing well. Green flag, and we get underway for this session.
Kessel racing out first of all in their Ferrari 296. Dustin Blattner on board in that machine. He's been going very well so far in practice and testing, and I think they've got some high hopes for that car. Good lineup, very good lineup.
So remember, one of the peculiarities of the Asia Le Mans Series is in all classes, all 3 classes, LMP2, LMP3 and here in GT, for the GT3 spec cars, every single team has got at least 1 bronze driver. There are some with more than 1 bronze driver, but it will be a bronze driver that is on duty for qualifying here in GT. Keep an eye on that car, the 87 car from Origin, the reigning GT World Challenge Asia champions from China. You'll see reigning GTD Pro IMSA champion Ron Heinrich later. But this team coming out of China, and great to see some of the Southeast Asian teams back on track and spreading their wings after the rigours of COVID of the last few years. And that's one that certainly has, and they've been making some real waves. Come here as championship winners, and we've got multiple championship winners, by the way, from multiple championships around the world that are going to be on track in both of these sessions, with the prototypes, of course, to follow. First time in the Asia Le Mans Series for the Iron Dames, the 85 car, and it is a new Iron Dame to top line ACO competition. Celia Martin will be at the wheel of the 85 car. She was in the Michelin Le Mans Cup last year in a Lamborghini, but the Iron Dames move over to Porsches for everything. 4 championships they will contest: the Asia Le Mans Series, the European Le Mans Series, the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, and the World Endurance Championship, all with Porsche 911 GT3Rs.
It's great to see some onboard footage here. This is a nice for us to be able to ride along in the Climax Mercedes AMG. This is all about just getting that tyre prepared, getting yourself into a nice spot as a driver to be able to execute that qualifying session. A little bit bunched up here, trying to find that little bit of space and spot, and there is plenty of room here, and it seems like everybody's just tripping up over one another.
Just looking at that shot there, no, it is not a Mercedes AMG one make series, but there were 5 of them in that 6-car group. They've been pretty quick here, as of the Ferraris so far. There's still pace to find perhaps for others.
Yeah.
The number 9 car from Get Speed, they were here with us last year.
I think drivers here are just trying to get that tyre bedded in nice and progressively, not going hard at it immediately, and they're just trying to bring the tyre up in a nice, gentle manner.
Let's tell you who's out there in this 25-car field. It's a long list to read through, but let's pick out some highlights for you. Climax Racing from China, one of the other AMG teams. They bring 2 cars. Number 2 car in the hands of Bi Guangzhou, and the second Climax car is Lu Wei in the number 14 car. 6 Mercedes AMG GT3 Evos, as I say. It's a further 6 Ferrari 296 GT3s. He's one of the Porsches, one of 8, I believe, Porsches from Origin, the 87 car. And there, the number 74 Kessel Racing car.
Yeah, it's Dustin Blattner on board.
He's been quick.
He has been very quick, and, you know, he's got great pedigree. He's not been racing for very long, but Kessel picked him up and saw his potential, and he's put together this great lineup.
And one of these things that we've seen through the Asia Le Mans Series in recent years is it's sort of a stand-up effort for teams ahead of their plans for the following year. And we've seen bronze talent emerge. We saw PJ Hyatt, of course, in his first runs in LMP2 and doing brilliantly well there before going on to race at IMSA, who will be with us in the European Le Mans Series later. Dustin Blattner, one of a couple of bronze drivers to watch this weekend, because we have seen some pretty extraordinary performances so far. He's won. There's going to be a couple you'll see later in the LMP2s as well, but keep an eye on these times.
Yep. You just saw there with Dustin just getting on the power off of turn 15. That's a corner I was down watching at yesterday, and it does seem to be the tight line that the GTs take. It can, as it's cambered away there on that little bit of racetrack, that as you get on the throttle, the rear of the car just steps away, and that's something that everybody's been hunting for, that bit of grip, looking for that line. And there is multiple lines down there at turn 15. It's one of the hardest corners on the racetrack to get right. Yeah,
it's slightly cooler than they've experienced in the last 24 hours because we're a little earlier in the day than most of the running has been. In the heat of the day, well over 30 degrees. As you said, there was a couple of spots of rain, but nothing that affected the track. It's frankly evaporated before it had a chance to settle.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
rain.
Yeah. But we see Dustin Blattner at the top of the timesheets.
The team from Montai Racing there, that is a team from the FI World Endurance Championship, and a bit of a trial ahead of the WC next year, for one of those crews at least. The other, featuring Antares Al, we've had before in the Asia Le Mans Series, alongside 2 of the reigning LMGT3 champions, Joel Sturm, Klaus Bachler in his number 10 car. The other, Alex Malikin, we will see later on his LMP2 debut.
Yeah, he's just delivering nicely on this lap. He's a good couple of tenths up here on Dustin Blattner, and he could be taking pole position here. He's been nice and smooth, and he's actually executing the lap very, very well. He's finding the limits, and he's delivering a very, very strong performance here. Looks at ease in the car,
wide.
just a little wide, maybe just a little bit of track limits there, but he does look at ease in the car.
Indeed. It's a team, I say, coming out of China and surprising an awful lot of people. Came into Porsche Carrera Cup Asia and dominated that, moved across to GT3 and have taken the Asian Championship in SRO rules racing, and now moving across here and having a crack with the ACO as well.
Yeah, we were sort of had a little chat with one of the chaps from Porsche Motorsport yesterday, and he was singing the praises of this car, this driver crew, and saying that they'd definitely be ones to watch in this championship. Down into turn 15, and this is this corner off camber. You've got to be very, very careful just getting on the throttle. Just lost the picture there, but it's yeah, Lauren Heinrich.
There you go, and that's Harry next to him from Porsche Motorsport Asia Pacific. We were talking to yesterday. They had help from some of the Porsche factory guys from Germany in setting up this effort. The German crew members have gone home now after helping them just to get settled in. A little bit of work with them on understanding the rule book here. That's a lot of what this is about for these new teams to ACO Rules Racing. You can get caught out by a very complex rule book, and what everybody that's watched sports car racing in the modern era knows is you have to be fault-free. The cars are so reliable now. You can't afford to make an error. You can't afford to get a penalty. No. You can't afford to be on pit lane where you don't need to be there, and that's what this is all about.
All the Mercedes are to the top of the timesheets. Extremely strong lap times.
So Steve Jans, it's not this car, this is the 2C's car, the number 96 car. That's one of the Winward cars. The Steve Jans car is the red and black number 9 Getsby car with the Bartone livery on the side. So it's always part of the appeal of coming out to the Asian Le Mans series. There's always some spectacular liveries on some of these cars.
Beautiful.
There are some familiar faces, some familiar colours, but it's great to see the different approach that some of the teams from Southeast Asia take to it. The origin image of their team, really very sculpted indeed. Beautiful green and white. This is one of the two Winward racing cars. What success this team have had out of Germany, but success in North America and Europe this year.
Yeah, you can see that some of the drivers have decided to sort of bring the tyre in a little bit smoother, a little bit easier. You know, Dustin went at it pretty hard, pretty quickly. So did the Origin car with Jan. And so you're just seeing a slightly different approaches here by the bronze drivers in how they want to try and deliver the lap time.
Marangle there, looking on. Up into second, briefly, Max Visa, a double X Asian Le Mans Series champion, but Dustin Blattner now pops through and is just under a quarter of a second off Steve Jans's best time. Can Jans extend that advantage? I don't think he's going to on this lap.
I think Dustin just had a lap to sort of gather himself, get it all together and go at it. And I think he was on his previous best. I think he was blocked a little bit just coming here off of turn 15. You see a lot of the cars just drifting it a little bit off of there. That's going to be a big thing for the race here. Tyre deg is going to be a big part of the storyline.
Yeah, Steve Jans not on a hot lap there, but behind him, both Dustin Blattner and Max Visa on quick laps now, thousands up or down on the provisional pole at the moment, with just 5.5 minutes to go of this lap, this session.
It is following the same sort of trend and sort of path that we'd seen over testing and practice.
The trouble for the Lamborghini.
Car. Yeah, just had a bit of a spin there. That's coming off of turn 14. Just got on the gas maybe a little bit too eagerly and just looped it around, maybe got a little bit wide on the exit curb.
That's Rennie Malazak had a bit of a moment there.
Yeah, that's one of the trickiest corners on the track as well. Very difficult braking point into 14 and then carrying the speed through and then getting on the throttle. It can catch a lot of drivers out.
Castellio Toledo here in the number 51 car, effectively the hypercar colours on this AF Corsa. Ferrari, one of 3 296 GT3s the Italian team are fielding, together with a pair of LMP2s that you'll see a little later in the show. Watching at the moment, Steve Jans for Max Visa, Dustin Blattner, looking at as well at the 4th place car at the moment. It's the 81 Winward AMG for Rinat Selikov. He set the fastest time overall in the session yesterday afternoon as a bronze driver.
Yeah, he was going extremely well in those conditions. And again, that might be something that as the day heats up and the track might come towards that that climax car, we'll have to see. Sorry, Winward racing car.
So Max Visa goes back to second place. He's just 0.161 of a second off. So it's Steve Jans, Get Speeds AMG, leads the order from the 28 AF Corsa car, then the Kessel Racing number 74, Winward's number 81, and then the first of the Porsches, the 83 Origin car we've seen already, the green and white car, that's in 5th place. First of the 2 Climax Racing AMGs from China is in 6th. Then it is, well, it's a 2 and gone for Uchida in the car guy car, stepping in for the team owner, who is at his daughter's wedding this weekend. Yes. But he's going well in 7th place indeed. Castadio Toledo, we've just seen, is in 8th, now 9th, because 2 C's under Tony McIntosh pops up into 8th place, and completing the top 10 is the 2nd Climax Racing AMG. So it's a bit of a mixed bag.
Yeah, Corsa, we're following the Corsa Racing car coming down through 13 into 14. Just looks like he's just getting himself ready to go again.
Indeed, this is not a flying lap for Max Visa. Max, we saw before, what is it, 2017-18, he was a champion. We've got 2 champions in this grid from that year. You'll see the other one in LMP2 later. Was driving Audis at that stage, and it was very quick indeed here.
4th place for the Winward 81 car, and that's still pressing on. He's still pushing to see if he can get himself further up the order. You see the car moving around there on the power, then he's delivered it across the apex nicely. It's riding the curbs well, this Mercedes AMG. Let's see how it delivers this rest of this lap. Coming through 13 into 14, tricky braking here. Got to keep the rear just in line. Try and make sure he can get it back to the apex. Nicely done. Just a little bit of movement there on throttle. Picked it up nice and early. And good drive. And this should be somewhere very, very close. Yeah,
he's within thousands, isn't he? One way or the other. And a good 3rd sector here. And he's had a clear run at this sector. Could grab him a front row place or better here. So we'll watch.
Just walking a little bit off on the throttle off of turn 15. Very tight line through it, but it looks strong. Let's see what he delivers. Oh, he's just lost a little bit there in that last sector.
Yeah, 3/10s lost in that sector there. So that's just that, not quite a moment, but imperfection, if you like, through the final turn, cost him dearly. Number of drivers here, Ollie, they can string a lap together, they can find clear air here.
Yeah.
In the last couple of minutes of this session, could do it. Steve Jans, another one who dropped time in the final sector. Dustin Blattner is up in sector 1, but we've seen a number of drivers up in sector 1 that have then just let the lap drift away from them.
And that can be what happens as the tyre just starts to eke away from you. That little bit of goodness just goes out of it, and you're just trying to keep it tidy, keep it nice, but it just, the lap time just doesn't really come, as we just saw there with the Winward car.
Yeah, and Terrace out, staple of the Age Le Mans series for the last few years. And aboard the number 10 Montai car, joining, as I said, the 2 reigning champions in the FI World Endurance Championship. He comes to the end of his latest lap. He's been super, super quick in this session. In the early parts of the lap, he's not put the lap together he wants.
It's the way that the track here is laid out in the sectors. You know, actually the 2nd sector ends up finishing sort of halfway round the lap. So that last sector is extremely long, and it's got a lot of complexity. It's very technical. So there is an awful lot there that can trip people up, or the car just falls into a slightly different window. Car guy, 57 car, Uchida, he's going well, 5th, and is he up? He had a little bit of traffic there at 11, and he's now just trying to find his way nicely across the curb, but the car's walking as he got on the brake there. The ABS is working hard, and he's trying to get it back to the apex. Done that on the throttle relatively smoothly. Got a little bit of exit curb, maybe rowing up through the gears here now. This Kessel Run car guy, we've about 240 k's, 5th gear right now, then hard on the brakes, well into the ABS, the car moving there under that braking. He's gone a little bit wider, but that's fine. But you see the way that when he got on the throttle, it just started to move, and that's the battle all of these guys have got, trying to string this lap together. And where does he end up? Again, he just
no improvement. The latter part of this session, it's fallen right off. We'll say, by the way, with thanks to our friends and colleagues at Alcamel, as the checkered flag comes out, the way qualifying works in the Age of Le Mans series is this is the qualifying session for race 1 and race 2. It's the second fastest time that will qualify the grid for race 2. And we've actually got a timing screen that shows us that. And at the moment, it's Max Visa for AF Corsa's 28 car that will be pole position for race 2. So a great qualifying session for Max Visa. Steve Jans, by the way, at the moment pole position here, but would be second for race 2. We'll bring you a bit more of that as we get to the wind down for this session. Dustin Blattner on a great lap here. On his final lap, he is up on the pole time.
And it's that last sector.
It is.
It's a long one, as we've discussed, and it's just going to be whether he can deliver that lap and that time and that performance in that final sector. Great if we could see it. Great if we could go to that. He should be. Let's look at the tracker. Where is he at on track? We're just trying to find him now.
He's coming down through turn 12 at the moment. He's got nobody ahead of him, so he's got to clear. In fact, he's in. I've just noticed there's a car with him.
Yeah.
As that just as he stumbled across that one, it might be a problem there for Dustin Blattner, because if he's caught a slower car or a car that's just as fast, that's going to cramp his style in this tricky third sector. The moment Steve Jans for Get Speed, AMG number 9 on pole position. Max Visa, and it is the number 82 car, so it's two Ferraris together.
Oh, Dustin's been racing the 82 AF course all the way around this lap. I saw him towing up behind him and nicely drifting off of turn 15, but I doubt very much whether this is going to be a lap that's going to get him further up the order, and absolutely not. It's about a second off. And when you're racing a car that hard, it's always going to be tough. That's clearly got the pace in the car, and Dustin's exceptional in this machine. Can't be unhappy though with third. That's getting right at the sharp end.
And it's going to be third in the second race as well, so it's consistent performance as well from Dustin Blattner. Has to be pleased with that. Being a racing driver, he'll be frustrated it was third,
of course,
but should be pleased with that. Consistency actually throughout the top 5 or 6 places, because Renat Selikov did not improve from fourth, the Winward Racing car, but he'll be fourth for both races, and Yudai Achida in Car Guy's car will be fifth for both races as well.
So I think Kessel will be extremely happy with that. Nice run for them. They've been working away solidly at their strategy and their race runs, so I think that they're going to be quietly confident about what's going to be up for them this afternoon.
There is our pole sitter for this afternoon's race 1 here at Sepang. No, Steve Jans in the number 9 Get Speed Mercedes AMG GT3 Evo. The Bartone brothers branding on the side. Anthony Bartone the driver, but it's his father who is the famous drag racer, and that is the family crest, if you like, sub-crest.
Anthony's coached by Andy Pilgrim,
one of your ex-teammates.
Yes, we saw him in the paddock earlier on this weekend. It's always great to see Andy, always a great character, and just so much knowledge.
Absolutely right, and it's coming, isn't it, for young Anthony Bartone?
Yeah, you can see that there's definitely a plan, and Andy's just slowly working away with him there, just to develop him as a race car driver, and it's all coming through. Well,
he'll get the best possible start to this season, thanks to teammate Steve Jans. It will be pole position for Get Speed in the number 9 car, and it will be Max Visa alongside. Just a quick look there into the Winward Racing garage. Renat Selikov, the 81 AMG. So it is 2 AMGs and 2 Ferraris on the front 2 rows of the grid. That is the overall order for GT. 205.092, tiny gap back to the number 28 car of Max Visa. Kessel Racing, good result, as we were saying there, from Dustin Blattner in the number 74 Kessel car. Winward Racing's 81, under 4/10ths back, and then just under half a second back for Car Guy and Yudai Achida. Custodio Toledo, a great result there for the second day, of course, Ferrari in 6th, and down we go through the order. 25 GT3 cars, and some of the gaps amongst that lot, Ollie, are very tiny indeed, and that's just the bronze drivers.
Yeah, and they've done extremely well. I mean, it is just after 10 o'clock here in Sepang, and it's already roasting hot. You can see some of the guys getting out the cars and already been working. Only a short session, so you can see where this is going to go, and you can sort of see how this afternoon, in the heat of the day, these drivers are going to be working extremely hard, and these bronze drivers have to do at least 2 stints in the car.
They do, and my guess is an awful lot of them are going to be doing single stints in these cars in these conditions. Well, the GT3 cars go away until this afternoon, as you can see in the background. Out onto the pit apron now come the prototype sports car racing. What is it? it's not just a race, it's multiple races on the same track at the same time with cars of wildly different performance in terms of straight line speed, in terms of cornering ability, aerodynamics, etc. And what we've got now are the LMP3 cars and the LMP2 cars. And if you're a lover of LMP3, and who isn't, this will be the last ACO series featuring the familiar rumble of the Nissan V8 engines, because in Europe, after the Asia Le Mans series, we moved to twin turbo power, the Toyota engines, but the Nissan engines reign supreme here. At the front of the grid, though, it is the glorious Oreca 07 LMP2s, the 4.2 litre, normally aspirated Gibson V8s, those engines built at Repton in Derbyshire, in both Ollie and my home country. It has been the soundtrack of the ACO ladder since 2017, these wailing V8 engines. Here is the 83 car, another reigning championship winning car from the European Le Mans series, Francois Perraudot's efforts from the ELMS, where he won his 6th endurance title, and it's with Matt Vaxivière and Alessia Rivera.
Yeah, it's the same lineup that's going to continue into 2025.
It's going to be tough to beat.
ELMS,
one of our perfectly formed gaggle of LMP3 cars. Endurance racing fans will be familiar with the ultimate name, but this car being run by AF Corsa this time. They'll be familiar with Inter Europol, but not in those colours. This is the BWT colours. Tim Kresick, it will be at the wheel of the number 34 car from Inter Europol. And this is the other AF Corsa car. Watch this car in this session.
Now,
Jeremy Clark
has been, let's say, a bit of a sensation this weekend.
He really has. I mean, really head-turning stuff. So he's sharing that car with Patrick Byrne, who was a previous championship winner in LMP3 in the Asia Le Mans series, again back in 2017-18 with Guy Cosmo. Patrick back after half a decade away from Asia Le Mans series. Ollie Pla fulfilling the role there as the pro, but Jeremy Clark.
Yeah, I had a message earlier on in the week going, Jeremy Clark, this guy is unbelievably fast. Where's he come from?
All he's done, we believe, is one make Ferrari racing, where he's had a little bit of success, but he has been, to use the word that was in that text message, rapid.
Yes. So let's see
keep
how
an
he
eye
goes.
on that.
Let's see how he goes.
It's different. Free practice is different. The pressure starts now. This is a properly competitive session we're about to get underway. It is LMP2 and LMP3 cars on track together, and that will bring its challenges as well. Another effort here, by the way, that comes here as a champion, RLR M Sport, Nick Adcock, the reigning LMP3 champion from the European Le Mans series, Ian Aguilera stepping up from the Ligier European series, where he was a race winner this year, and alongside them James Dayson, who's been a stalwart in the recent years, as won the bronzes in ELMS and Michelin Le Mans Cup competition.
Yeah, we saw Nick, didn't we, earlier on in the weekend, and he very happy, always smiling. Always,
loves his racing.
Loves his racing.
Yeah.
Loves being here. Yes, the heat, I think, was going to have an impact, but
so, as we wait for the cars to get running, let's go down and talk to the third member of our team. We looked for some glamour on pit lane. We looked really hard. We couldn't find any, so we got David Addison. Over to you, Addis.
1 minute.
Yeah, the glamour, I'm afraid, is non-existent. Didn't have time to do my hair this morning. And while we wait for Steve Jans to track back from the scrutineering bay where the car is, Fabian Schiller is with me. You've been watching that lap, and it was a pretty tense session, because that last lap from Dustin Blattner in the Ferrari was pretty good as well.
No, definitely. I mean, I've been here for the last 3 years in Asian Le Mans series, and the level of the bronze drivers is just increasing every year. And it's a very, very intense session. It was the level is very high of all the bronze drivers nowadays. And yeah, Steve did a great job there. It was tight for sure. P1 for the first race and P2 for the second race for sure. Great outcome.
Steve's an experienced driver. He's a kind of shiny bronze. He's a really good bronze. You were watching that lap. You were impressed?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, yesterday we were a little bit unsure about our performance. We were struggling a little bit, but today the team did a great job changing a few bits on the car overnight, and obviously we showed today that we were quick, and Steve obviously did an amazing lap, so very happy about it, yeah.
Now, as you say, you've been here already over the weekend. Quick word about what it's like in the car. It's so hot, even early in the day.
Yeah, it's very, very hot. It's I think the heat is for sure one struggle, but I guess the track is the hardest for all the drivers because it's very, very slippery. We have very high degradation on tires. And yeah, it's all about keeping calm in the car, not overstressing the tires and so on. Don't overheat the car. And that's key around here, and I think with the Mercedes-AMG GT3 we have a good car over the distance, so yeah, looking forward to the 2 races this weekend.
And I guess a bit unusually for you as a regular GT3 front runner, you're not at the front of the field here, you're having your own battle, but you've got to be mindful of P2, P3 cars, so you've got some lappery to think about as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's for sure a little bit of a different thing when you race with GT3 cars only, but I mean, we're used to it. We had more than enough sessions this weekend, and then also over the last few years we had more than enough experience, most of the drivers, so it's not that difficult to get used to, actually.
Fabian, good luck. Right, let's get into P2 and P3 qualifying. Back to Ollie and Graham.
Thanks very much, David. Actually, Fab Schiller, I stumbled across a fact I'd completely forgotten. Is an overall race winner here in LMP2 in the Asia Le Mans Series back in the open car days.
Wow.
Something completely forgotten. I think at the, sadly, I believe soon-to-be closed Zhuhai some many years ago. So he will have awareness of what's required here. But he's absolutely right, David. We are now on track, and with the 17 prototypes we have here.
I think he's going to need a bigger fan.
Yes, that's David Leach, the strategic brains behind the Algarve Pro Racing crew, and he is a very big-brained strategic guy at Algarve Pro Racing. Some astonishing calls. We saw some of them last year, plucking wins out of absolutely nowhere, particularly at Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
This is the 50 car. We've been saying about watching for Jeremy Clark. Let's just tell you who's out there aboard these cars. That's the 22 car from Proton Competition. That is Giorgio Roda, 5 pole positions out of 6 in the European Le Mans Series this season. Georgios Kolovas, a late addition to the LMS this season, substitute driver in with Team Virage, but he's aboard the DKR Engineering car, number 3, a car that has won this championship before. Alexander Bekantsov has been a part of the Asia Le Mans Series in recent years many times. He's aboard the Graf Racing number 7 LMP3 car. Alexander Matchell featured in the LMP2 and LMP3 grids for the LMS in recent seasons. He's in Proton's 11 car. Sam Cox there, part of the Huddleston wife team at Algarve Pro Racing. RLRM Sports field their reigning champion in the LMS, Nick Adcock, in the 15 LMP3 car. Kreitler Lentudis, a race winner in LMP2 Pro-Am in the LMS, is aboard Algarve Pro Racing's number 20. Giorgio Roda, we've talked about. Naveen Rao, a new addition and a return for Naveen Rao for the first time in a few seasons here to the ELMS, was part of Racing Team India some years ago, but he's now part and parcel of a revamped, rejuvenated Nielsen Racing squad in a reliveried 24 Orica. Michael Jensen, another ELMS LMP3 champion. He's making his Asia Le Mans Series LMP2 debut in the 25 Algarve Pro Racing car. Jens Reiner Müller, someone who's got a quarter of a century of sports car racing under his belt, and he's aboard the Breton Racing 26 car, a car that won here won in the Asia Le Mans Series last year, and has taken a win this season as well in the Michelin Le Mans Cup. RD Limited, Fred Pordad was here last year, I think, with Proton. Back now with RD Limited. The RD, Romain Dumas. And Romain, a previous FI World Endurance Champion, is here in charge of his brand new LMP2 effort. Team Crescent, we've already seen aboard the pink and pink BWT liveried 34 into Europol car. We always talked about Stefan Lemeret in the Ultimate car, the number 35 car. Steve Brooks, not really Steve Brooks, but New Zealander Steve Brooks, historic racer, making his LMP3 debut in ACO Rules Racing in the second interior car, the more familiar green and yellow livery car. Mark Patterson, we'll come to Mark later, because what a character he is, and welcome back to sports car racing for Mark Patterson, the oldest swinger in this town or any other. Jeremy Clark, we've already sung the praises of, and who else has popped through there? The final car is the Pure Racing car, run here by TF Sport. It's Alex Malikin, the third of the LMGT3 championship winners in the FIWC, making that move across now into LMP2. They're the runners, they're the riders. The pace is beginning to come, Ollie Gavin, and Giorgio Roda's already gone to the top of the timing screens.
He has. He's had a pretty aggressive, straight out the traps approach, and he's really gone at it hard. You could see that the tyres weren't really there, but he was asking a lot of the car, and he's certainly gone for the all-out, all-aggressive approach. And Let's see, he's still building on this second lap, but he's certainly at the top of the timesheets by a long way, some 6 seconds clear of the field, which I think his approach is slightly different to Mr. Malikin here, who we're seeing on screen now second, and he is on a bit of a tear.
He is. He's going to be close to that initial time from Giorgio Roda if he can hold this lap together, but Roda is making further progress. The question is, has he gone too early?
Yeah.
There's one question here for these guys. Here in the Asia Le Mans Series, it's Michelin tyres. Most of the experienced wheels in European LMP2 racing will be used to racing on the Goodyears. Anybody racing in IMSA would race on Michelin rubber.
Yeah, so it does present a different beast, a different animal, and something you just got to get yourself tuned into. But like a few drivers have said, they've had a nice amount of running. Slight difference here at this turn 15 for the P2 cars and the P3 cars. They tend to be running a slightly wider line, and that just seems to be suiting them. It's maybe that platform that they've just got to keep it that little bit flatter.
Yeah, Giorgio Roda improves his time and improves it quite radically. Goes to the top now with a 1:53.197. Alex Malikin's time drifts away a little bit in that final sector. He's in the 1:54s and his second fastest. Alexander Matchol in the Proton number 11 car pops it up into third, but not quite up to speed there. Then Georgios Kolovos in the LMP3 ranks. It's Stefan Lemerek goes to the top for Ultimate, ahead of Alexander Bekantsov for Graf Racing and Jens Müller for Breton Racing. There, the 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
These sessions click down quickly, though.
Tim Kresic here in the Inter-Europol car, fourth at the moment, but he's on a good lap. It's going to be interesting to see if he's going to be good enough. This last sector is long and it's technical. And let's just see how he navigates his way through this final turn. Again, that sort of wider line. Just a little pinch the exit off a little bit there, right on the exit curb. I'm sure that's going to help this run down to the flag, to the line, but then also the start of the next lap. But he ended up fifth there.
So fifth, not yet up to speed, by the way. Francois Peroda, the 1 LMP2 car that is in amongst the P3 cars. So maybe just taking a measured approach to this.
Haven't seen much of the track limits. The only car that's been pinged for that is Alexander Matchel in the 11.
Up to third, Naveen Rao, having a good run here, Naveen. Previous IMSA prototype champion with one of his co-drivers here, Matt Bell.
Yep.
And they're joined by Nicky the Cat Katzberg, a previous champion here, as is Matt Bell, by the way, in the Asia Le Mans Series. Matt, champion in LMP2 just a few years ago with Nielsen Racing.
I think these guys will have a good car here. They've been slowly working away at it and you're quietly getting on with their work. But this is a good lineup and they're in a good spot, I feel.
Yeah, a lot of pressure here on the bronze driver, and Naveen Rao going well here.
Jeremy Clark up to third, and he's on a strong lap right now. He's not too far away, only about a tenth off Giorgio Roda.
Yeah, well, let's face it. I mean, Giorgio Roda, huge experience in LMP2. As I was saying, a race wins in the European Le Mans Series and the LMP2 Pro-Am. There we are with Jeremy Clark now. And, you know,
doing a nice job. Let's just follow him here on the lap and see how he delivers this car to turn 9. A little bit lumpy there on the brakes coming through and into turn 9. Got through and off the corner very, very well. Just a little bit of movement on the throttle, but then he's getting the car to the apex nicely at 11. And then clearly off the end. No track limits there. That's nicely done. And down here into 12 and then 13. Again, nicely done. Car moving a little bit as it came off of 13. Can it get it back to the apex here at 14? Yeah, nice. He just kissed the apex there. Really nicely done. He's delivering this very nicely around the lap and going up through the gears here, reaching about 270 Ks down here in the Oreca 07. Then hard on the brakes, the car porpoising. Oh, a little bit of right locking, and he's nearly threw it off there. Nicely gathered up. But that certainly caught him out there. Right front locking and then the rear locking. And that will have hurt his lap time there. And he's about 8 tenths off. But he can go again. But he's got the speed. He just needs to put it all together.
Yeah, but that lap was good enough for the second race. So he's gone from 8th on the second fastest time to 2nd at this point. So it was still a good time. So that was an excellent time to that point. He's then bled away a few tenths.
Just needs to put it all together and execute on each corner. He's got nearly all of the pieces there. He just needs to put that final piece of the puzzle together.
So still Giorgio Roda on a good lap again. Giorgio Roda, he at the moment pole for both races against the timing that we've got in the booth here. Alex Malikin second for both races, and about half a second shy of that. Jeremy Clark up on the pole time in his first sector on a flying lap now. He's third in both races, and Francois Perraudot pops up. He's now fourth for both races.
Yeah, it's like the tyre is slowly coming in and they're just getting it in the zone. So this was the approach for a number of teams. I think Roda just went straight out, just pulled the trigger immediately, got it done. And maybe he's back in the box already.
Yeah, Stefan Lemaret, by the way, as we watch Jeremy Clark above the number 50 car. Great looking livery on that car, by the way. That, what do you call that? I'd call that teal.
Yeah. And he's smooth, he's accurate, he seems like he's hitting his marks and hitting his points. He's got the car again nicely back to the apex there. Looks like he's got a good drive off of 14. And it's just now going to be all about how he gets this braking point into 15. The car starts to porpoise a little bit here. That's pretty normal in a P2 car. And it's now, it's a lot though. It's a lot of porpoising. But he's managed to get it stopped and through. And the drive off of there looks decent. He's using all of the exit curb. Is it going to be enough though?
Well, he's 8/10 off before that lap. He's not anymore. He's 2/10 off, so he goes up to second place for the first race. He's on the front row. What an opening qualifying session for an LMP2 debutant.
Yeah, that is extraordinary. Really fantastic. Looks to me like he's just breathing a little bit here now. And he's just going to maybe take a lap, see if he can get the tyres back, just maybe go for one more run. He's got 3 minutes left.
That porpoising is extreme there, isn't it?
It is extreme, and it is a bit of a feature, and it's very difficult sometimes for the teams to get it out of this zone where it porpoises like that. And it's just the aerodynamic effect on the front splitter and the ride height and the tyre pressure, and it sometimes can start generating that porpoising, and it's a fine balance that all of these teams are working with to try and eliminate that.
Alexander Matchell, by the way, pops up in fourth place, just shuffles Francois Perraudot down and off the second row for race one.
Nick Adcock here second in LMP3.
He's making progress here through this session. It is Stefan Lemaret in LMP3, the moment pole for both races. Nick Adcock pops up in second for the first race. Car ahead of him on track there. That is the 49 car from High Class Racing. Sadly, with illness for Seth Lucas, down to 2 drivers. That's going to be hard work.
That is going to be brutal.
Anders Fjordback and the oldest swinger in town, Mark Patterson.
Lovely man.
72 years young now, Mark, and he just looks like a whippet.
He does. He looks fit. Really very strong.
Lovely, lovely guy. Great to have him back in sports car racing. Nick crosses the line. There's no improvement there for either session for him, as Jeremy Clark just lifts out, and that's Giorgio Roda powering by.
Giorgio went very deep there. Maybe he's
he
just
was
a
on
little
a flyer
bit
as well.
Yeah,
he
got a little bit thrown off there by Jeremy Clark. Maybe just got his bearings slightly off, but still a decent time. He's still P1.
Yep.
For both the first and second. I mean, he really was extraordinary. He came out of the traps and just went straight at it and managed to wring a lap time out of this car, and it's never been beaten.
No. So under a minute to go. It's Giorgio Roda for Proton Competition, Jeremy Clark for AF Corsa, Pure Racing's Alex Monique, and a great session from Alex as well. Alexander Matchell, the second of our Alexes, in the second Proton car. So they've got both in the top 4 at the moment. Then Francois Perraudot in the second AF Corsa car. Georgios Kolovos for DKR. The 2 Algarve Pro Racing cars, Michael Jensen, the 25 car 7th. Naveen Rao, 8th for Nielsen. And then the second Algarve Pro Racing car, Crichton and Tudis. RD Racing's Fred Pordad props up this session. Just 3 seconds across those bronze drivers in LMP2. Then Ultimate Stefan Lemaret, RLR's Nick Adcock, Jens Reiner Muller from Breton Racing is the 1, 2, 3 at the moment in LMP3. Here comes Lemaret, and he is another double pole setter at the moment as things stand into the final 10 seconds of the session. He will just about get the opportunity to go around again if he wants to, I think, here. Or is he just about? No, I think he might have taken
He
take the checkered flag.
He got the flag. Jeremy Clark in second is improving. He's just gone blue in that middle sector. Let's see if he can string that final sector together. It's a long one, and it could be tough. There are a number of people actually improving, including Alexander Matschel and Francois Perraudot.
And having seen the extremes of that porpoising, getting that sorted out, there's better than 2/10 in that if you can get that code unlocked.
Yeah, it's just how much of a problem it is at the end of that straight, and how much the car is then in the zone for the rest of the lap. This is going to be the trade-off that these teams are going to be, some of these teams are going to be making. So, let's see if watching Francois Perraudot just got a little bit wide there on the entry into turn 14. Has he got to make it back to the apex? No, he hasn't. The rear's just moving around a little bit there for him. And I'm thinking that this might be bleeding away a little bit for him.
So this car at the front, the red and black car, that is the RD Limited car, Romain Dumas team. Then Francois Perraudot, then the 11 Proton, the white-black car with the green highlights, and DKR Engineering with a fabulous new livery for that. What can Perraudot do here? Is there anything better than 5th for him? Improved time,
but not
position.
No, it was that final sector just again didn't quite get it done. But
well, the Ultimate guy's delighted with Stefan Lamoret's efforts, as well they should be.
Yeah, he's a very experienced bronze driver, isn't he? And
yes, I mean, you're often thought about as being a Spa specialist. Has raced and raced well in the Spa 24 Hours many times. You've not seen much of Stefan in ACO rules racing, but he's clearly got it, and he's still got it. More often see him in the paddock now as driver manager and advisor.
Yeah.
But great to see him back in the saddle, and he's clearly enjoying his weekend so far, as well he might. So it is going to be Giorgio Roda, as all the cars have now taken the checkered flag, with yet another pole position. And by the way, yet another after that, because there is a double pole for Giorgio Roda. So he has set pole position 7 times in his last 8 races.
He did look extremely comfortable in the car, and he had it by the scruff of the neck and just slinging it around this Sepang track. Did a great job. Didn't look like the tyre was quite there, but he executed, and he clearly did the lap time to be on pole position by over 2/10.
Yeah, LMP3, the Proton competition, congratulate each other on a job well done there for the pole position. It is Stefan Lamoret with 2 pole positions. Dick Adcock, by the way, improved, so he's second for the second race as well. So it
Nice
is.
job by Nick there. Nice job.
Indeed. And looking down the order, you have to look all the way to the back row of the LMP grid to see anybody that's not on the same position in LMP3 for both races. And it's not very different, actually, in the LMP2 order. Jeremy Clark will be 3rd in the second race, 2nd in the first race. Great efforts from our 2 LMP2 debutants there at the top of the grid. Jeremy Clark in the number 50 car and Alex Malikin in the number 91 car. And both cars, by the way, I think look absolutely spectacular on track.
Yeah, they do, and it's brilliant to see so many fantastic teams here with wonderful cars. We're seeing a real high class of team and car here.
So there you have it, 2 15-minute sessions to produce the grids for both races this weekend, 4 hours this afternoon. Look for times in your local area on the Age Le Mans Series website. It'll be live and free with myself, with Ollie, and we'll be hearing a lot more from David Addison because he's not worked that hard this morning at all.
I think we've seen him once.
I think we'll probably get another interview out of him before he goes, but it is quite warm down there. But it's going to be a very warm afternoon indeed. Joking aside, this is the start of the Age Le Mans Series season. There are so many storylines to bring to you. We're going to have to squeeze them in over the 4.5 or 5 hours of our broadcast. There's our order for the LMP qualifying. Proton competition take pole position with Giorgio Roda. The 50 car of Jeremy Clark alongside on the front row of the grid with Pure Racing's number 91 of Alex Malikin. The second Proton competition car on row 2, followed by Francois Perraudot. Then, as we get into the LMP3 cars, Ultimates, the bright red car ahead of the RLRM Sport, the ELMS champions from this year on the front row for race 1, and it's GetSpeed's AMG on pole position in GT. That GT class so deep. So many. I mean, we've barely had a chance to talk about the standard of the pro drivers
that are here. That's one of the things.
Champions from everywhere.
Stacked, absolutely stacked.
You know, I think we have champions from pretty much every significant championship around Europe, Asia and North America. It's an astonishing array of talent this year. We always wait, don't we, as enthusiasts, to see what every entry list is going to produce. And I think we have to say right now, the team at the Asia Le Mans Series and the team at SRO have been collaborating with the Asia Le Mans Series for the past few years. What a job they've done
really
to bring together this 42
fantastic grid.
It's great. And, you know, champions everywhere. It's going to be great stuff. It looks like, to me, like Francois Proda's had a warm morning. That's after 15 minutes in the car.
Look how hard he's breathing.
Yeah.
And just sort of see that towel around his neck. I mean, he looks like he's been in the ring with Frank Bruno or, you know, for Mike Tyson. You know, it's tough out there. It really is. It's aggressive. This circuit is hard. It's tough. It's really technical, but it's physical. Really physical.
I think Francois would give Jake Paul a good run for his money. He's younger than most of the people he boxes. But there you go. Looking forward to that 4 hours of racing. What are the storylines you think we're looking to here? It's about heat management for very many of them.
Yeah, it's going to be lots of different parts and segments here. I think we're going to be going down for an interview, aren't we?
We
David.
are. I think we're going to have a very warm David Allison talking to a very warm Francois Perraudot after the championship-winning driver from the LMS had 15 minutes out there. David, down with you.
Yeah, Graham, just to explain, pole position drivers go to scrutineering, which is a bit far away from where the camera will stretch. So instead, we'll talk to others. Francois Perraudot is looking hot and bothered, and that was a tough, if short, session.
Yeah, a bit too short, but no, but it is qualifying. Yeah, it was difficult. I didn't do a good job at putting the tires in temperature. So my first time lap was not so good, and then I was in traffic. So I was in front of some guys, I was behind some other guys. So it's a bit difficult then when you spend your fast lap looking at the mirrors. But no, again, I mean, can't say that I'm happy. I was expecting, you know, with what I've seen so far, maybe a top 3. There's a couple of very fast bronzers up there. But, you know, P5. Yeah, we'll see. It's still like in the first half, you know, 4 hours.
Well, I was going to say it's a long race, you know. It's a short qualifying session, but a long race. It's being there at the end of 4 hours that counts.
Yeah, exactly. And I think considering the number of cars, particularly 27 GTs, I think it's going to be very eventful. So it's a matter of, you know, just staying on the track and, you know, avoiding some mistakes.
And keeping cool. Good luck, Francois. Thanks.
Yeah, he's certainly been working hard, and it was good just to hear some bits and pieces there on how he prepared the tyre and got the car ready for that qualifying session. And it's clear, you know, it's tough even with someone like Francois, who's very experienced. It still was tricky for him to get that ultimate lap time and deliver that performance that he really wanted. And he'll be going back and analysing that and looking through the data with his teammates.
And isn't that just that brief interview there with David? Just opens the door to the thought process that happens as you get more and more experience. He's unhappy with his performance there. Yeah. He's looking to the fine points that he can actually address.
But it also shows the level that
Absolutely.
we're at here, and here he is debriefing with the team and walking through what's happened, and he'll be hearing what other drivers have done, and then he'll be explaining to the reasons why, you know, he was doing what he was doing. And, you know, it's something that maybe the team can do to help him, just that preparation, and maybe just reminding him of a certain few things that he needs to do as a driver. When you're experienced, you're trying to get yourself in the car and get yourself ready and go through the motions, but sometimes you just, you know, slip up, maybe make or don't remember one particular key piece.
Indeed, and you know, an example there as well, the level at which these LMP2 Pro-Am efforts are operating. Matt Vazivier there just stepping away from the Alpine hypercar programme this year. Alessio Rivera, the other driver there, a Ferrari factory driver. Two factory drivers with two different factories, with one of the most successful drivers in Pro-Am racing.
You know, they're pooling all that knowledge from those two different programmes.
So it's been, well, a very quick morning of qualifying. We're going to have a much longer session.
We've hardly made David work.
I know this. We're going to have to get work a lot harder.
Crack the whip.
But it's going to be 4 hours of racing this afternoon. As I say, keep an eye on social media for the Asia Le Mans Series to find out where it's available and when it's available in your area. YouTube, worldwide, live and free, with all of us, with me, Graham Goodwin, with Oliver Gavin and with David Anderson down on pit lane, and with 42 cars across LMP2, LMP3, and as I keep saying, a stacked GT class. I think this is going to be a spectacular season, and what a place to start it. So 5.5 kilometres times how many times over 4 hours? You can do the quick maths there.
I can't do the mathematics.
Can't do the maths. It's too early in the morning, really.
Another coffee is needed.
But the other storyline that's definitely going to emerge here is the challenge that these teams are going to suffer with the heat. Not every car here has got driver AC or driver cooling.
They do have driver cooling devices and bits and pieces, and it's going to be something that every team and every driver is going to have to manage.
Yeah, temperatures outside the cars well into the 30s. Temperatures inside the cars, I would think a couple of 15 or so degrees above that. Temperature on track amongst the 42 cars is going to be absolutely white hot. Looking for points, looking for finishes, looking for an entry to Le Mans. Join us this afternoon for the Asia Le Mans Series from Sepang.